You are welcome to another exciting episode on Infosynthesis, your regular news and current affairs podcast. Osun Ndobono is my name, and we'll be discussing on the allegations and counter-allegations between Omoyele Sowore of Sahara Reporters and the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike. With me to discuss this particular topic is Mr. Nnamdi Elekwachi.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to be here always. Welcome, viewers.
So, Mr. Nnamdi, I definitely know you've been observing and following the claims and counterclaims, allegations and accusations, whatever we would choose to call it, between Omoyele Sowore. But before we actually go into those allegations, I know you've been following Sowore for quite some time now.
Yes.
And you understand that is this kind of, I don't even want to use the word maverick, but he appears to be a very radical personality, radical figure. But lately, he has really become a lot more vocal, a lot more frontal in his approach towards activism. Do you think that his latest opponent this time around is someone that is worth all the energy?
Well, thank you so much. It depends on where Sowore wants to channel his energy or focus. But don't forget one thing. Sowore was a comrade and still is a comrade. But he was a comrade to those with him. Maybe you could say in the trenches. In the 90s, during the struggle for transition to democracy, the botched June 12th, the botched Third Republic, Sowore was a comrade to many comrades that are today part of the establishment.
Yes.
So part of the things he is exhibiting today was also, are also the things they gave to him. Because bulk of the support he had then came from those who were with him then. So today, they are no longer comrades. They are now excellencies and honorable. So Sowore is still standing alone now, trying to take it back to them. So to me, it depends on where he wants to channel his energy. But don't forget that this man has been fighting this way. He didn't begin with Tinubu or with Nyesom Wike, his minister. It happened under Buhari when he was mobilizing revolution now. Thank you.
But lately, he seems to be hitting at opponents or creating enemies. I don't think.
No, he's not creating enemies.
You know why I say this?
No.
Nobody would expected that he will suddenly pick on or take on.
It depends on how you've been following Sowore. The last attack, or I won't say attack, the last charge he made was against Peter Obi, talking about the Panama Papers.
That's right.
Peter Obi didn't even respond, or Peter Obi responded, but was actually constructive or something. Before he went to call the president a criminal. Because of the outing in Brazil where the president said corruption has ceased or has ended in Nigeria. No more corruption. Before you come to the CBN, you just manage to write something down and give to them, and then you get exchange rate. But now you can get exchange rate without calling anybody, if you know anybody or something, and then corruption was gone. The president said. So what he said, criminal went to Brazil to talk about corruption, and then that created a lot of issues.
But then, was it right for Sowore to have called a sitting president a criminal?
No, it was wrong. It was wrong.
So if it was wrong, it means that Wike
he himself will now prove. That is what is known as onus probandi, the burden of proof.
True.
It is with him. The burden of proof is with him to prove that the president is a criminal. And I thank God the president used the right channel. The courts, they sued X, they sued Facebook, they sued Omoyele Sowore and Sahara Reporters. Don't forget also that the president is close to publishing. Politicians in Nigeria, even Azikiwe, Awolowo, they began with publication. In fact, they are publishers. They were publishers.
Right. True.
So Sowore today, almost the first online media reporting firm, Sahara Reporters, and you called him Sowore of the Sahara Reporters. That's a good introduction.
Yeah.
I found the point. Now it's about what? Media war. It's about media war.
There is a media war.
There is a media war going on now. Although Sowore is charging on the offensive, the establishment on the defensive.
On the defensive.
Yes.
So somehow Nyesom Wike in responding to questions, mentioned in passing that Sowore was lucky that Tinubu, was one who,
A Democrat.
honors, civil rule and is quite democratic. Else, probably something bad would have happened to Sowore.
Yeah.
Do you think that was all that Sowore needed to be provoked to now be able to go into exhuming, allegations here and there against
I would not. Before that time, I think it has been reported that Wike amassed wealth as a governor, even as a chief of staff. It has been alleged that he amassed wealth as a chief of staff and then as a governor. It has also been reported by even David Hondeyin and Sam. They actually released that Wike purchased properties in Florida. So what Sowore did was just to exhume, not to exhume actually, but was just to amplify the matter. But then he went the extra mile, bringing out dossiers or reports.
That's right.
That may have to do with Wike, including when he was arrested by the EFCC, following 300 million naira money laundering charge, and then all of that, including how he used his voice to make a call threatening electoral official, to make the election go the direction it did go.
Well, I think Nigerians will be particularly interested in the properties that Sowore did mention. And
yes,
he's able to come up with evidence. I think he's even went a step further, to write to
I do not know whether
authorities.
Yes, I do not know whether to call those evidence, but for now I will call those things. I don't think they are evidence, but I will call them supporting documents.
Okay,
he presented these documents to support his allegations. One, that Wike acquired these properties, even when by what and by everything he was not worth that amount of money.
That much.
That the money with which those properties were acquired were illicit funds from River State. I followed the point. Then he even went as far as bringing out the quit claim deed, where Wike from 2021 to 2023 quit title, that's in other words ownership of those properties, transferring to his children through the wife. So these properties were acquired through the wife, who by the way is a
High Court judge.
Yes, a judge of the High Court. Are you following point? Sorry, a judge of the Appeal Court.
Okay.
Yes. So it is a very huge one, because he was alleging that this person is a public official, and then Wike has never worked all his life. He's not worked really that much, except in fact he called him a career politician.
But absolutely, that's what most Nigerian political officers are.
Yes.
But again, like I did just mention, we have Nigerians who, of course, the world would have interest as to why a politician, a political office holder, will be able to acquire such choice properties in such prime location in Florida. One would, of course, be interested to know that. And then if you listen to Wike's response, at a particular interview, he did mention that those properties belong to the wife, and those properties were bequeathed to his children. Now the question will be this: he did mention that the wife is an American citizen, and of course the children as well. But again, what were they doing to acquire those properties? And this is not just particular about to Wike, but of course to many Nigerian political office holders.
Yes, you see, these politicians have a way of trying to outsmart the system, or outflank or outmaneuver the system. One, you have the Code of Conduct Bureau. You declare your assets before you assume office. But what you are looking at here is what is common with virtually all the political office holders, just like you mentioned. They do not acquire these assets or these properties in their names. They use fronts. Are you following the point now? So what Sowore tried to allege was that Wike used the wife, Suzette Nyesom Wike, to buy these properties, and later there was transfer. And if you understand what quit claim transfer or quit claim deed means, it's simply a way of transferring ownership and title from a grantor to a grantee, in which case fund, the amount may not be stated. There will not be public sale. There will not be such issues. So it's just an attempt to conceal, as he alleged, as Sowore alleged, an attempt to conceal, and then citing the relevant laws of the United States of America, including the laws of the state of Florida. Example is the kleptocracy asset recovery initiative, which, if triggered here, could actually land Wike 30-year prison sentence or some, yes, or even
in absentia.
No, but then they don't forget that they are also asking for in fact, they are asking the state of Florida, one, to deny him access to America. Visa restriction.
He doesn't love going to America.
Visa restriction.
He said he doesn't love to go.
Visa restriction, and they also said something about repatriation. According to their own appeal. Yes, they may say that. Wike may say that he doesn't love going to America. He also said his wife and kids are Americans. In some of the versions, we are hearing that the words came from the wife's side. I wouldn't know. But the question is, who is this woman? And we know that the salary, in fact, the annual salary of a judge in the appeal court should not exceed 8 million naira annually. So calculate that. Even if we are talking about properties worth millions of dollars, even if they are to receive such all their life.
The most recent revelation coming from Sowore is that Nyesom Wike owns a massive hotel in Port Harcourt. And he said what gave Wike away was the J, that he has a certain obsession with the letter J, owing to the fact that it's obvious, of course, he named about 3 of his kids, names that began with J also. So I do think that Sowore can actually prove this allegation.
I don't know what other supporting documents he has to back his claim. Are you following the point? But actually, from what he has shared so far, or from what other investigative journalists had actually shared so far, the names of these children began with J, and the names were there in the 3 properties in contest now. The 3 properties being debated. So yes, he has said this. It is left for him, like I said before earlier. The onus lies with him. Burden of proof, onus probandi, is with him to establish his case. He has made a point, but don't forget that according to the Evidence Act in Nigeria, he who asserts must prove. But then, in the case of the president, we are seeing it go the legal way. In the case of Wike is being dismissive, sometimes trying to even stonewall, sometimes trying to even mildly bully journalists. He would try to stonewall or even answer the questions he wants to answer. He was asked, how did you make all this money? He said, my father used to have money. I used to own a Mercedes assist. But that's not the question. That's right. Now he's been asked again. The word, he said he didn't know the wife or the children had such words. After all, my wife is an American. But that's not the question. The question is, are you aware of that? So that is why we are having this gap. I find the point. People are feeling and are establishing prima facie culpability on the part of Wike, that he may be culpable, he may be guilty as accused by Sowore. But the fact there remains that yes, Nigerian politicians have a way of concealing offshore investments. They will acquire using the names of their children or people close to them or allies or family members, and then subsequently transfer. So this is not different from what is being established here by Sowore. And that is why we must begin to emphasize that EFCC, Code of Conduct Bureau, ICPC, including the DSS, should be weaned from all forms of executive control. They should be insulated. Because in most cases, you see that prosecution, because you have the prosecutorial powers as enabled by law, prosecution has always been about selective system, in which case people in government are not questioned. In fact, in these countries, a politician said, if you come to our political party, your sins will be forgiven and you no longer be probed. So we live in a system that is that horrible. That is why I'm having issues. We may even establish this. Don't forget, we are living in a system where the president is even telling American courts not to release his own records. I find the point. Each time, maybe the opposition, however they try to do it, try to get the American courts to declare or to direct or to rule that the FBI, including drug agency in America, should release the documents or the dossier, the president will file a suit or will counter, saying that should not be done. It will cause me personal damage or reputational damage. That is the country we are in. So I'm not even sure that Wike will be handed to America. That's the question you should be asking me. Will Nigerian government hand Wike to America if America should say if there is any possibility of extradition? I find the point, because there is American law allegedly being breached now, or there are American laws being breached. So if America should want Wike, will Nigeria give Wike to America? And I will say no, because remember the case of the Super Cup, Abakiyari. Did Nigeria transfer him to America? No. So I don't know the possibility of transferring him, and I don't know the possibility of the EFCC, ICPC, and other anti-graft bodies prosecuting Wike. If he is found guilty as charged. That's the two.
Well, at the moment, there's not been charges leveled against Wike at the moment. I think there are only revelations that's been made. And we're expecting that Sowore will be able to, of course, get as many evidence as possible.
But then don't forget also the Attorney General of Florida.
Yes.
That the Wike had petitioned, Sowore had petitioned Attorney General of Florida.
That has been done, yes.
But in Nigeria, we don't know yet.
So do you hope to see more Sowores coming up to blow whistles on other governors or former governors?
That is how it ought to be.
Okay, that's how it ought to be.
That's how it ought to be, because the system allows disclosures. You have the Freedom of Information Act, although many states across the federation have yet to implement that or to domesticate it. Some states are doing what is known as OGP, Open Government Partnerships. Some are also doing what's known as State Fiscal Transparency, Accountability, and Sustainability Program of the World Bank, SFETAS, through which they get loans, which many governors will divert. So there ought to be disclosures, because that is how to go about public finance and then fiscal responsibility.
Do you also think that Nigerian government would actually sweep in to prosecute Wike if indeed these evidences are one that should, of course,
I think we will take that challenge to the president. That when he was swearing them in, Wike was there too. He read them the Riot Act, and he said, anybody found wanting, I will dismiss you. You are answerable to me, but the task is about Nigerians. So we will remind the president of his word. If Wike is found guilty, that's if Wike is found guilty. All these things are still in the realms of allegation. But if Wike is found guilty, we now remind the president, see what you told them when you were swearing them in.
If Wike is found guilty, do you think that the Nigerian government, through the instrument of the EFCC or the ICPC, will be willing to investigate Wike?
I'm not sure, and I cannot give you a clear answer. But I'm not sure, because look at it now. We are seeing the political permutation. I did say here some time ago that we have a system where, for the first time in our Fourth Republic, if not in our entire history, where the same political party at the center, government of the day, is controlling Rivers State and Lagos State. These are the two most economically viable states in Nigeria, the richest states in Nigeria, the states that, if you remove revenue or statutory transfer, if you remove statutory transfers from the federal government, they will still survive. I'm not talking about states like poor states. I'm talking about the wealthier states. And now election is nearing. I'm talking real politics now. I don't foresee the possibility, of Wike being jettisoned for now, unless something happens. Being jettisoned for now. Wike is important to the president,
even if he may have committed a crime against Nigeria. If
we are to be talking about, if this were to be some countries, of course we know. I don't like using the word Sesena crimes. Wike would have resigned and try to salvage his name. Name should come first before office. Wike should have resigned and try to do what? Save his name. To say, I'm presenting myself. Let's go to court or anything. I find the point. In the United Kingdom, the issue of pleb gates, a parliamentarian even resigned before it was found out or it was discovered that he never used the word pleb on the gatekeeper. I find the point, or on the police officer there at the gate. So in Nigeria, we have men who are stronger than the institution. So to me, I'm not seeing the possibility of Wike being jettisoned by the president, because Don't forget, there are independent investigations saying that all things being equal, the election of Rivers State was influenced. The outcome of that election was influenced. I find the point. So Wike is instrumental. He's key to the president, and that was why perhaps he never knew the kind of person he will meet in Sowore when he tried to talk back. It was not you that was supposed to talk. You are not the spokesperson of the president. You are just a minister. The same way you talk back at El-Rufai and others. Now he's gotten himself ensnared somewhere. So it is what we are seeing now, revelations, and we keep waiting. But then I do not know how the Nigerian courts will do justice. It's now left for them. If Nigerians should approach them, it's not left for civil society groups, interest groups, rights activists to approach the court on the basis of this. These are what we are seeing. Are you following the point? What can we do? But then we talked about Rivers State, where over 40 petitions flew during the 6 months of suspension. No decision, no ruling, no interpretation, nothing.
In other words, Sowore might be fighting a losing battle.
He might be fighting a losing battle. I love that. He might be fighting a losing battle. But then may also be making important or giving Nigerians some important disclosures and revelations, as it may have to do with what fiscal irresponsibility of public officials, not just about Wike. But then I keep asking, because we don't try to contextualize election in the context of money. That was why when MMFL, or be it that policy was that target, in fact it was ill-timed. When MFL came with the cashless policy or the Naira design, some politicians were crying because they needed money as war chest to execute the election. And I ask here, if politicians are in the habit of mobilizing their personal resources in bullion vans, in Ghana must go, and then other things, don't you think they can actually mobilize the resources of an entire state to win an election? It has happened before. It's not the first time it is happening. So that is why I'm seeing this alliance and then this political permutation where you have Wike from the PDP now being almost an APC member. It simply means that politics is about what? Protection of certain interests. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Nnamdi Elekwechi. And on to you in the comment section. Let me have your comments. We just hope that Omoyele Sowore is not fighting a losing battle.